We wanted to help people to remember what and who they really are, which sounds very simple, right? It actually is pretty complicated, and we sort of evolved a bunch of different modalities that we had been practicing into one system to help people really get in touch with their higher selves and stay in touch with the higher self.
Welcome to LatiNation, celebrating your generation from coast to coast. I'm your host, Humberto Guida, and today's a very special episode because I'm going to be hanging out with a couple friends of mine. They are Narasimha and Makari Rishi. Together they form Vvlcan Haus. Now, Vvlcan Haus is a lot of things. For one thing, they're leaders in alternative and spiritual therapies. They work with all kinds of plant medicines. They also have a cool brand, and they do fashion, and they do certain things with hair. Dreadlocks and that kind of thing. They use technology that some would say is ancient, some would say is new age, and they're also pretty tapped into ancient knowledge. Makari is a descendant of a well-known Mexican shaman who introduced things like, mushrooms to people who were looking for some enlightenment, so to speak. So how do we bring all that together? Well, we go hit their amazing house in Silver Lake, which is unique in of itself. And we get some answers to the universe's questions, and then we ask some more. Check it out. It's Vvlcan Haus right here on LatiNation.
My name is Narasimha. My wife Makari Rishi and I are the co-founders, co-creators of the Vvlcan Haus. Our vision for the Vvlcan Haus was pretty simple to start off with. We wanted to help people to remember what and who they really are, which sounds very simple, right? It actually is pretty complicated, and we sort of evolved a bunch of different modalities that we had been practicing into one system to help people really get in touch with their higher selves and stay in touch with the higher self, which I think is the real key here. A lot of modalities sort of can get you to that place, but then what do you do when you're there? What do you do when you have that experience? How do you integrate that into your daily life? We envision our role in the healing community is to help you to really get that big experience that you had, whether through a plant medicine or a meditation or something like that, into your everyday life, so it works for you like it should, and not just this sort of one experience that you keep moving back towards and thinking about, but not really understanding how it affects your life in the real world.
Satnam, my name is Makari Rishi, and I'm co-founder of the Vvlcan Haus and Tarantula on Stilts. And what we do here is it's an artist collective of mystics and artists and different facets of healing and different body technologies. And one of the main things that I do is I focus on neolock technology. I focus on hair science. I focus on a lot of different facets when it comes to healing modalities, depending on what people are needing at that time.
Well, the first thing we do is a lot of talk therapy. We really want to see what the issue is, because everyone's different, and we have a lot of times, especially in the West, things are treated with an umbrella. Oh, you have ADD, oh, you have PTSD, and these things are kind of useful, but at the same time, they don't take into account the actual individualistic nature of the traumas, of the anxieties, of the spiritual path. Of the energy that goes around the person. Every single person has a different energetic signature, like a snowflake. So now going forward, we have to kind of really get to know the person and talk to them. And as they're talking, they're sort of remembering a little more deeply as to why and who and what and how happened to them, so that they can really start to deal with it. And from there, we kind of start slow, unless a person has already done a bunch of different modalities. So if a person hasn't done anything, we'll start with meditation, we'll start with yoga, we'll start with breathwork, and just kind of see how the person's working along with that. We help shift diet. We work with nutrition. We do things as basic as teach about water, because a lot of people don't really understand how important water is, how to get good clean water, and breathing and eating. We don't know how to do it anymore as a culture, especially in the West.
when we go back to the natural state, when we let things go back to its natural state of the body, of the hair, we start to become more intuitive. And Native Americans knew this. Our Mayan lineage, every lineage of color and every facet of the ancients, the mystics knew this. Jesus, everybody knew this, but it's been hidden from us. And this is really going from that science part of holistic trichology, going into my spiritual path and bringing hair into my teachings of being bioantennae. That's what we're about, is connecting all facets of you, not just internally, but externally. And then with discovering that in my research, I started to really lock into my spiritual side of things and tap into why I was doing certain things to my hair or wearing certain styles, and really where that stems from in my lineage. I have a celestial lineage to Maria Sabina. For those of you that don't know her, look her up. She's an amazing medicine woman out of the south of Mexico. She's phenomenal, and she's known for giving a lot of Westerners that are actually creative geniuses their first psilocybin experiences.
All right, guys, so we're going to go upstairs now, and I'm going to teach my friend Guian Rondev some breath work. Come up with us. So what we're going to do today is a little ego eradicator.
Nice.
So guys always have a little bit of ego we need to work with. This is really good to help just kind of burn through that. If you're going to go on a date, got an audition coming up, you know what I mean? Something you got to deal with that's not going to be super pleasant. So we'll help burn through that for about 3 minutes. So we're going to do that. First we're going to sign on. You know how to do that, right?
Yes.
All right. And center the chest. Deep inhale. Exhale. So we have a couple of different modalities that we work with, and it really depends on what the person is looking for. Our whole sort of mission statement is, you're an individual and your issues are individualistic, so let's kind of get to the root of those before we get to the higher consciousness stuff, because you really got to pull those weeds out first before that beautiful plant that is your own spiritual awakening can really flower.
We've definitely been together in very different, in many lives, many past lives, future lives, all these things, and I know that when we came together, we were in the same circles, of friends. We just never ended up meeting. This wasn't the right time, and we finally did at one point and after that, it's just kind of, we talked for about 5-6 hours, just talking and talking and talking, and we realized that we had a lot of things in common. And one of those main things, at the time was fashion, was big, and not just because we, both liked to dress and were interested in that. It was more of the love for it and the passion for appreciating, what you have, rather it be, what you're wearing or the person you have or things like that. And we actually connected on that level that night, but in so many different directions, right? Before we did that connection there. So you never know, you never know, who you're going to spend, many years with and create a business with or partnership with.
As far as the clothing and the art went, it was sort of, when we first got into Kundalini, we didn't see anything that represented us. You know what I mean? There was a lot of the all white and the turbans and stuff, and that's great. But it wasn't really where we were. So I just started kind of designing stuff for Makari Rishi and I to wear, just t-shirts. Kind of based around old punk rock logos or old movie logos that we liked or something like that. But we incorporated mantras and things like that into it. And we started wearing them to class, and people started liking them. So it really just evolved out of us kind of doing something for ourselves that was in, the vibration which Makari and I vibrate, And we brought that into the Kundalini world, and it resonated with a lot of people. And now we have a pretty interesting small business based around just the clothing and design aspect of what we do, which was very interesting. We also, we come at it from sort of a streetwear vibe, you know, like a lot of the Kundalini stuff is sort of flowing and, you know, like monkey or, you know, like it just wasn't our vibe. So like I got, the first things we did were like really big, chunky, like the Champion reverse weave sweatshirts that are, you know, they were super big in the 90s and like they're kind of coming back now. I really wanted the quality of the garments to be as good as possible. And we love that sort of big boxy streetwear look, so we get those sort of thicker, like Japanese woven t-shirts, or if we could find dead stock t-shirts from the 60s or 70s when they were still made in America, of the heavyweight cotton, then we'll print on them as well. So we're always looking for that. You know, the quality of the piece is very, very important to what we put out, and also the cut and the style and how it's going to be worn ultimately. Right, guys. So this is how we make the high vibrational clothing. It starts off pretty easily. We have a couple of different powder dyes that we use here. And what we'll do is we'll kind of just sprinkle a little bit of the dye onto these pre-treated shirts in just random sort of places. All right, and at this point we'll start our mantra. And the mantra we're going to use for this lot is Banda Jame by the White Sun, who actually won a Grammy. And we set this on repeat. And this mantra will infuse the ice for the next 24 hours as it melts and pulls the dye into the shirts. And then from here, we're just gonna put some ice on. And that is it. That's gonna sit for 24 hours while the mantra infuses into the water and the ice melts and pulls the dye through. And that's how the vibrations on just a simple t-shirt will be raised exponentially. And this right here is one of the finished products. Every one of these shirts comes out entirely unique, and from here we'll print some of our designs onto the shirts as they come out in their unique way. And again, this is just a much higher vibrational piece of clothing than it was before the process started.
You know, and everything carries a frequency and everything carries a vibration. And, you know, we've discovered that over the course of my life and then our life together, and all the things that we talk about, and you know that if you if we meet you one day and you experience it, it's all things that we have done, and we have done to heal ourselves in very many lights, and that's including with wearing stuff that raises the vibration, you know, wearing things that mean something and have a meaning behind who's making it.
You know, I feel so passionate about making you see the strong, capable individual that you are, and that you can move forward and give that back to your community. I read a really interesting quote yesterday. It said, "Real leaders don't attract followers, they attract more leaders," right? And I couldn't agree more with that. Like, we're not here looking for followers. We're not here looking for people thinking that we're the next, you know, guru or whatever. Like, we're here to help you remember yourself so that you can help other people remember themselves. And let's work it out like that.
The tarantula on stilts portion of what I do is the jata and dreadlock portion. So some people come to me, like you'll meet later, Kathleen comes to me to get jata, a high vibrational style. It's locking energy of a journey into their, you know, into their quest in life, whatever they're going through right now. We lock that energy into their hair. A lot of ancient sadhus, you know, Rastafari, a lot of ancient mystics along thousands of years have been doing this. So that's what she does. That's what I do for her, and I'll give a little demonstration about that, because it's more of it's a very etheric process, meaning it's very psychic process, and you'll see what I mean. It's very intuitive, and also it's very healing when it is to the scalp. So it's a very unique process. This is Kathleen, one of my amazing amazingly talented friends and longtime, I don't like saying clients, but clients, because it's been a journey together, hasn't it, Kathleen?
Right.
And she.
Yeah, we don't call each other clients. We're like
We don't.
buddies.
Friends, buddies, but you know what we mean. You know what I mean. And she comes to see me every few months, and what we do is what she's wearing right now, and it depends on what she is feeling that day to call the style that she's wearing. It could be jata, it could be dreadlocks, it could be locks, whatever it is, whatever she's feeling at that, when she wakes up. And the reason why I have chosen to put this gorgeous style on her head, she's asked me to, is because what we're doing is we're locking in the energy. Each strand of hair is like a wire. And this is what we like to call bioantennae. And Kathleen is, like I said, is an amazingly talented artist. And she connects very deeply with many facets and of creation. And this is Kathleen's art back here. And yeah, like I was saying before, to connect and using your hair to connect. I mean, look at this phenomenal art that, comes out of her psyche, magnetic field, her brain. So what I do for Kathleen, I'm gonna show a little bit of a demonstration. She has her own practice in what she does to tap in, to create, and to astro travel, is what we like to call creation here at the Vvlcan Haus. But to be able to create on this level is to be able to astral travel on this plane, on this earth. And in order to do that, when you wear these types of styles, they get very heavy and very weighty because it holds energy, and hair holds memory. And these are classes that I teach here at the Vvlcan Haus about your hair holding memory and being bioantennae. So what I do is I will cleanse out anything that she's feeling around her surrounding energies. I'm going to clear that out, and then I'm going to go ahead and do some neo-lock technology on her. That is something that I developed for jata and dreadlocks in order to hold the weight of the hair, not only physically holding the weight, but also mentally. Kathleen, are you ready? And talk to me. Just tell me a little bit about how creating all this amazing artwork. Do you feel like your hair kind of leads you in any directions or anything at all? Like, I've been wondering.
I'm all over the place.
I know.
I am just everywhere. I'm not really sure. I never stick to one thing at a time. Just kind of whatever I'm feeling, depending on the media, depending on what sparks my creativity at a certain hour, typically in the evening. I feel like during the evening time, everybody's shut down, and that's when I feel like in my own bubble, I can just kind of thrive and do my own thing, Mm-hmm. To be a little bit more on point, it actually makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
Yes.
Before I had my locks done, I always had some, personal issues going through my head about, certain things about myself, like I'm sure everybody does, but this was actually able to allow me to kind of have more balance. I'm kind of someone that likes a certain balance and symmetry to whether it's art or lifestyle or your look, but for me, after getting this, it just kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable. Where kind of went through my own thing, about gaining a little bit more extra weight or going through transition between jobs or whatever, and after having this for a while and having it really actually settle in, I think I've had them now for probably going on 4 years, maybe in October. And now I feel like I am with the other things that used to really get me uncomfortable. This makes me feel a little bit more balanced, more comfortable, more like myself than I was before with the things that I have trouble with. You know what I mean? Like, it was a good transition, and I'm able to get over the things in the past that really kind of got me feeling having personal issues. Now having this, I feel like even with those, now I feel like I can kind of be myself, and I feel more like myself with the dreads than any other haircut that I have, and I've had everything.
I believe that you get drawn to, I've told Kathleen before, I believe that you get drawn to, you know, particular hairstyles, you know, they're adornments. If you think back to Egypt, you think back to even, you know, the Mayans, you think back to a lot of lineages that wore these amazing headdresses or wore these amazing hair. Even the Hopi Indians created these squash blossom type, you know, the women wore these, and it was a type of communication, you know, a type of ancient communication, and that's what our hair does. That's why I said it's a technology. So it's a lifestyle and it's an ancient technology, and yeah, that's what we talk about here. That's what we talk about.
All right, guys, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. We're definitely trying to bring different kind of stories to Latin Nation. And if you want to find out more, you can see more of our content at LATV.com. You can follow us on Instagram at LatiNation TV, also on Twitter at LatiNation TV. And you can follow me directly on Twitter at Humberto Guida. Till next time, peace.